Apologize for arriving late. I was supposed to speak yesterday, and I was tied up with some filming with BBC in Houston of a story, which I can't mention right now because of the press conference coming up, but it could change U.S. history somewhat. And So hold on for next week if the media doesn't just blanket the thing out. And I snuck in on a red-eye special flight last night, rationalizing it, well, at 9 in the morning nobody will be there, so I can sort of, doze through my talk. And here I come to a full house and all this energy, and anyway, I'll suck it up and try to. I'm very eager to be here and very excited. We have some tremendous ideas flowing in this conference. My expertise, as you know, is CIA, Marine Corps, 3 CIA secret wars. I had a position in the National Security Council in 1975 as the chief of the Angola task force running the secret war in Angola. It was the 3rd CIA secret war I was part of. We had a scandal. I testified for 5 days before the Congress, like Ollie North. I did not burn files. I did not plead the Fifth Amendment because I felt like as an officer in our services, if we had somehow broken the law, and we had indeed, I had written out papers about the laws we were breaking, that I had a duty to stand up and take my medicine. So I was challenging the people in the congressional committees to do their duty and put us in jail. Now, it's not that I wanted to go to jail, but I had the notes and dates and details and cables and texts where it was absolutely guaranteed that I could take Henry Kissinger and CIA Director Bill Colby to jail with me. And needless to say, they did not do their duty, and these people went on to break other laws and their successors to break other laws and to cover them up, as you saw in the Iran-Contra scandal. I want to move pretty rapidly because we have a brief amount of time and some other wonderful speakers. But what we're going to talk about is just a quick review of this national security thing, the national security laws, and where that puts our country today and where it's going. The national security law creating the National Security Council and the CIA, as you know, was passed in 1947. The CIA was given this charter to perform such other duties and function as might be necessary to the national security interests, and given a vague authority to protect its sources and methods. Now, it has lobbied continuously throughout these several decades to obtain an official secrets act where it would just flat have, people who attacked it or criticized it or exposed its criminality could in fact go to jail. The national security actions that it undertook immediately, dozens of them adding up very fast, that were of course rationalized in terms of the national security of the U.S., not well defined ever at any point, just a vague catch-all to justify things, and of course generally the struggle against communism. We can look at this historically because communism, is now dead and the Soviet bloc has broken up and George Bush and Gorbachev are big buddies now. So the understandings and perceptions, though, of this thing, as Bo was just saying, this is extremely important for you to understand. I think it was in the mid-'80s that I coined this phrase, the Third World War, because in my research I realized that we were not attacking the Soviet Union and the CIA's activities. We were attacking people in the Third World. And I'm going to just quickly, in the interest of time, just give you a little sense of what that means, this Third World War. Basically, it's the third, I believe, in terms of loss of life and human destruction, the third bloodiest war in all of history. They undertake to run operations in every corner of the globe. They also undertook the license of operating just totally above and beyond U.S. laws. They had a license, if you will, to kill, but also they took that to a license to smuggle drugs, a license to do all kinds of things to other people in other societies in violation of international law, our law, and every principle of nations working together for a healthier and more peaceful world. Meanwhile, again, they battled to convert the U.S. legal system in such a way that it would give them control of our society. Now, we have massive documentation of what they call the secret wars of the CIA. We don't have to guess or speculate. We had the Church Committee investigate them in 1975, gave us our first really in-depth, powerful look inside this structure. Senator Church said in the 14 years before he did his investigation that he found they had run 900 major operations and 3,000 minor operations. And if you extrapolate that over the whole period of the 40-odd years that we've had a CIA, you come up with 3,000 major operations and over 10,000 minor operations. Every one of them illegal, every one of them disruptive of the lives and societies of other peoples, and many of them bloody and gory beyond comprehension almost. Extensively, we manipulated and organized the overthrow of functioning constitutional democracies in other countries. We organized secret armies and directed them to fight in just about every continent in the world. We encouraged ethnic minorities to rise up and fight. People like the Mosquito Indians in Nicaragua, the Kurds in the Middle East, the Mongols in Southeast Asia. And of course, if you think about racial tension, just think about what it would do in this society if some country were coming in with massive aid to encourage the radicals or the wilder elements in our minorities to begin raping and murdering and blowing things up, and how violently we would react. And we have been doing this systematically to other countries around the world. We have organized, and we still do, and fund death squads in countries around the world, like the Treasury Police in El Salvador, which are responsible for most of the killing of the 50,000 people just in the 80s, and there was 70,000 before that. These things lead us into wars. Once again, if we had, a full day, I would go into great detail on every one of these. An orchestration, CIA, secret teams, and propaganda led us directly into the Korean War. We were attacking China from the islands, Quemoy, Matsu, Thailand, Tibet. A lot of drug trafficking involved in this, by the way, until eventually we convinced ourselves to fight the Chinese in Korea, and we had the Korean War, and 1 million people were killed. Same thing for the Vietnam War, and we have extensive documentation of how the CIA was involved at every level, or the national security complex, because it's a very cooperative thing, into manipulating the nation into the Vietnam War. Meanwhile, inside the United States, of course, the people who would do these things overseas, they come back inside this country. They don't suddenly clean up their act. They were running operations across the United States that really kind of take your breath away. The MH Chaos program, a billion-dollar program to penetrate and manipulate civic organizations, labor and student organizations across the nation. The MK Ultra program, which was designed to experiment for over 2 decades on American citizens with disease and drugs. The LSD thing got to be as a CI experiment at Harvard Medical School and other comparable institutions. Once again, massive documentation about this. I publish a book list which you're welcome to order copies of if you want to write down an address of the best books that I've found on the subject. I've read hundreds, and I analyze this out down to the best 120 books and annotate them so that you can get a sense of which one you might want to read first and which one second. You should write to We Can Publishers. This is an organization of volunteers in Austin that I don't have anything directly to do with, that on a volunteer basis photocopies these things and sends them out. They're located at 504 West 24th Street, number 79. Austin, Texas, 78705. That's 504 West 24th Street, number 79. Austin, 78705. We Can. I don't know what it means. We Can Publishers. Now, everywhere the CI has